The night was unusually cold for early spring. Jenna pulled her thin shawl tighter around her shoulders as she walked down the dimly lit alley behind the diner. Her shift had just ended, and all she wanted was to go home, eat the leftover instant noodles, and sleep. She never expected that tonight would be the night everything changed. The sound stopped her in her tracks. It was faint at first, like a distant whimper. She froze. The alley was mostly silent, except for the low humming of a nearby street lamp. Then she heard it again, a soft cry, a baby's cry. Her heart pounded as she turned toward the overflowing trash bin tucked behind the old fence. "No way," she whispered, her breath fogging in the air. Carefully, Jenna approached the bin, her hands trembling. The cries grew louder. She hesitated for a moment, then flung open the lid. There, wrapped in a stained pink towel, lay a tiny baby, red-faced, crying and trembling. "Oh my God!" Jenna's knees buckled. She quickly pulled the baby out, pressing it against her chest, trying to shield it from the cold. Her eyes welled with tears. Who could do this? She looked around, hoping to see someone, anyone, who could explain this. But the alley was empty, abandoned. The baby was no more than a few days old. Her lips were slightly blue, her skin icy to the touch. Jenna didn't think. She ran past the diner, past the sleeping streets of her small town, and straight to the local clinic. "She's lucky you brought her in when you did," the nurse said later that night. "Another hour, and she wouldn't have made it." Jenna sat silently in the waiting area, still in her waitress uniform, still processing what had just happened. "Are you family?" the nurse asked. "No," Jenna said softly. "I just found her in a trash bin." The nurse nodded slowly. "The police will handle the report. For now, she'll stay here overnight. But, if you're willing, she'll need someone to hold her until social services arrive." Without hesitation, Jenna nodded. "I'll stay." And she did. All night, Jenna held the baby close. She named her Hope. Jenna had grown up in the system, foster home to foster home. Her mother had left her in a hospital when she was 2. No one ever claimed her. She spent her childhood craving warmth and belonging. Now, as she looked down at this innocent child, discarded the same way she had once been, something stirred in her. She couldn't let history repeat itself. When social services came the next morning, Jenna asked the question she never thought she would. "What if I wanted to keep her?" The woman looked at Jenna, minus 23 years old, minimum wage job, no family. "It's not easy, but it's not impossible." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of paperwork, interviews, and background checks. Jenna worked double shifts, saved every penny, and turned her tiny one-room apartment into something that resembled a nursery. People doubted her. "Why take on a baby that isn't yours?" her coworker asked. "You can barely take care of yourself." But Jenna didn't listen. She saw herself in Hope, the same abandonment, the same desperate need to be loved. Slowly but surely, the system saw something different in Jenna too. Determination. 3 months later, Jenna was granted temporary custody. But just as things began to feel like home, the past came knocking. A woman showed up at the clinic, claiming to be Hope's birth mother. She had a lawyer and a heartbreaking story. She was homeless, scared, and postpartum. She said she panicked, left the baby, then returned, but it was too late. The court was sympathetic. The system leaned toward reunification, and Jenna was shattered. "I'm not giving up on her," she told the judge. "Not again. Not like I was." The court case lasted weeks. Jenna used all her savings for a decent lawyer. Her story, an orphan who found a baby in the trash and chose to raise her as her own, was compelling. Her bond with Hope was undeniable. In the end, the court made a rare decision: shared custody, with Jenna as the primary guardian and the birth mother receiving counseling and supervised visits. Jenna wept when the gavel came down, not because she had won, but because Hope wouldn't be lost again. 2 years later, Jenna opened a small daycare called Hope's Corner. It wasn't fancy, but it was filled with warmth, laughter, and second chances. Jenna became a voice for abandoned children, often speaking at local shelters and schools. Hope, now a bright toddler with curly hair and a mischievous smile, had no memory of the night she was found, but Jenna did. Every second and every night she whispered to her daughter as she tucked her in, "I didn't save you, little one. You saved me."